Today we're going to be talking about power tools. We'll be talking about a hammer drill. We'll be talking about a circular saw. We'll be talking about a reciprocating saw. And then also a corded bandsaw. We'll be going over the safety procedures on how to check to make sure everything's safe to use. And we'll go over the procedures of how to use each tool. On the hammer drill, first thing you'll want to do, check your battery. On most batteries, there is a button. If you push the button, it will show that it's fully charged. Always start with a fully charged battery, because you don't want to get halfway through a job and have to stop to change a battery out. There is a sniff test that you can do on your battery to make sure that the battery is not shorted. You can just stick it up to your nose, smell it. If it has a burn smell, then discard that battery and not use it. On your drills, you have different settings. So if you turn this, this will go to, it looks like a hammer. That's your hammer setting. This looks like a drill bit. That's for drilling. That makes this clutch not work. This is a clutch. And then if you put it on the screw setting, this is for when you're screwing a piece of a screw or something into wood, you can actually stop it at a certain depth. So when you put it on the drill setting, that's for drilling holes and drilling paddle bits to make holes, or a regular drill bit. When you are using a drill, there's several different bits. You have screw bits, Phillips, you have square heads, which are, you just want to make sure that whenever you using them, you want to make sure you get the right bit for the right screw that you have. Different heads for Phillips. This is a Phillips one. This is a Torx one. You just want to make sure that you have the right bits for the job that you're using, because you don't want to strip your screws out. On your drills, you have a variable speed. So if you just barely pull the trigger, it barely turns. If you pull the trigger all the way, it goes fast. Let go of the trigger, it stops. On the you have a button here on the side. That's the reverse and forward button. So if you push it in one way, it spins one way. Flip it over to the other side, it goes backwards. On the top of the drill, you have, most of them have a torque setting. This one's set on 3, so it spins fast. If you put it on 1, it spins slower, but it gives more torque if you're driving in larger screws. Most of the time, you will have it on 3 for drilling holes. You don't want to, unless you're drilling into thick metal, you would slow the drill down. We'll set a piece of wood up for demonstration. This is a tri-stand. It's mainly for using for doing pipes and stuff, but it will clamp down the wood for your, if you're in a situation where you don't have 2 hands to help hold the wood, you will pull the chain over. There are latches underneath here. You just hold the chain. You turn the handle clockwise until it tightens the wood down, and give it a couple of turns. Now just keep in mind that the chain can deform the wood where you're at. So if it's a finished piece of wood, then you would probably want to have some other way to anchor it. Remember, always wear safety glasses when you're doing anything, so you don't want anything in your eyes. To put whatever chuck the bit you're wanting to use, whether it's a Phillips bit, a Torx bit, a paddle bit, what you'll want to do is put it in reverse. That will open the jaws. Insert it. Push the button the opposite direction. Hold on to the collar. And hold on to the piece at the same time. Then you can turn this. You'll hear the clicking. That means it's tight. When you're wanting to make a hole, you'll measure out your wood wherever you want your hole to be put in. So I'm going to go 2 inches. Say I want a hole at 2 inches by 3 inches. I make a mark. And you put the bit in the center of your mark. And that's where the center of your hole is going to be. Make sure that you're on drill. You don't want to put it on the screw setting, and you don't want to put it on the hammer drill setting. You want to make sure it's on the drill setting if you're drilling something into wood. Pull the trigger lightly to get it started. You'll have to add a little pressure. And then once it starts, this is a threaded tip, so it'll pull itself through. Once it's there, then you can pull the trigger all the way. Helps if the bit's sharp. When you get done, you put it in reverse, hold the collar, and the bit comes off. For the hammer drill setting, it's for doing concrete. So I can demonstrate it just by holding it. So the collar's tight, and if you heard how it drilled through the wood, if you put pressure on it, it will actually hammer and you'll hear the sound. So if you have a concrete bit, that helps bust the concrete up while it's drilling a hole. And that's the reason for the hammer drill setting. On the torque setting, you would put it over on the screw. You would use your Phillips bit. Tighten it up. You would use a Phillips screw. And if I didn't want that screw to go into the wood very deep, I would decrease the numbers on the clutch. Start my drill. So that noise there indicates that's as far as it's going to let that screw go in. If I need it to go deeper, all I have to do is increase the numbers, and it will pull that screw down a little bit deeper. This is for doing finishing work. So it'll drive the screw all the way into the wood. So that's what the clutch is for, so that you don't do that. Like if you just need it to stop on the surface, you would get a scrap piece of wood, find out where you need your clutch setting, and then you could repeat that all the way down. And it won't drive the screw deep into the wood. Again, if you need to take the screw out, you put it in reverse, put pressure on it, back it right back out the hole. For the circular saw, again, you would check your battery. You make sure that it's fully charged. You would make sure that your blade isn't chipped. You would pull your bottom guard up, kind of inspect your blade, make sure you don't see any chips or anything. Make sure your handle and everything's not cracked, nothing's missing. Make sure your bolt is there. You don't want your blade to come flying off. When you are making your cuts, you will line up the 0 mark right here on your blade onto the edge of your line. So basically, you would hold it like this and you would follow the line all the way through your cut. Once you get to a point where you can't see your line anymore, you would have to look through the window here on the side of the saw and follow the blade onto your line, which is correct right here. So you have to stand off to the side a little bit so that you can follow that path. If you want to raise your blade, so So if you want to get to the right depth so that the blade, you don't have too much blade sticking out past your work, there is a lever on the side of your saw. You lift the lever up and that adjusts your base plate so that you can raise and lower it. This is all done before you put the battery in. So what you would do is you would lift your lower guard, you would run your finger underneath to where you got about 1/4 of an inch of the blade sticking out past the wood, and then you would lock your handle back down, and that gives you proper depth. If you need to make an angle cut, that's what this knob here is for. You loosen the knob up, and that will rotate to where you can make a angle cut, and there's degrees on the side here. You just line a degree up to whatever degree you need to make your cut. You lock it back down, and you can repeat the same angle cut over and over and over. For this purposes, we're just going to make a straight cut. So we put it all back down to where it's flat. Always tighten it back up. Put the battery in it before you use it. There is a lock on the drill or on the circular saw. You have to depress this lock before you can pick the trigger, use the trigger. It's ambidextrous. There's one on either side. You don't have to press them both at the same time. Once you press that down and you pull that trigger, you can let go of the button. You don't have to hold that button in place. But as soon as you let go of the trigger, the lock activates again. So you have to depress it every single time. So you would line your line up onto the work. You would start the blade about 1/4 of an inch away from your work. Hold on with both hands. Press the trigger lock. Get the blade started. Move in until you make contact. Make sure that you're lined up with your line here. Look off to the side. And don't let go of the trigger until you cut all the way through. And that gives you a nice clean cut.